during wartime, life during wartime. This is not
kids.
my beautiful plague. This is not my beautiful state of emergency.
So we're back. It's
not
I'ma
my
let you
beautiful
finish.
mask.
Hey, did we say you could talk right now? No, you wait.
There's a guest in the studio today. Welcome,
Wait.
kids. Episode 15, I'ma let you finish.
15.
It is us, horse-faced
That's more.
lesbian, and
Me.
postess Amy, a.k.a. Courtney and Amy. We're coming to you live from Canal Street Radio.
And we are not wearing masks.
in partnership with Listening Party Presents. Again, kids, come on down and see us at the Canal Street Market.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's a good time.
And
Don't
if you
stay
stick
away.
around long enough, you might have a Robert Smith side.
And there's lots of vendors and there's food. There's sometimes blowjobs in the bathroom. I don't know. But anyway.
Courtney, I just needed subway fare home. Okay, it's not every fucking Saturday.
Listen, well, sometimes you just have to look to a nice, kind man and you say,
Man? That was a man? What the what?
so, a couple of things have happened this week.
Speaking of men,
Speaking of men, so, and then there were two. So we've got...
the most diverse. Okay, we started off with a fucking jamboree of kumbaya, and now we're down to the two old guys, Statler and Hilton, from The Muppet Show.
And it's just kind of like, the stink is just so bad.
It's
It's
just
so
awful.
fucking bad. And I look at it now and I'm like, okay, so either one, we have to close our eyes.
Oh, no.
But I
Hold
see,
your nose and close your
But
eyes.
here's the thing that's upsetting me, right? Because I have a friend who's definitely a Bernie guy, and he's like Bernie. And a lot of those young people,
Miguel?
but a lot of those young
Is it
people,
Miguel?
yeah, but they didn't. Come on, I have a bunch of people who Bernie, but
Okay.
a lot of those young people did not show up to the
No, because
polls.
this is the myth, okay? I mean, there's a lot of levels to it, but I think there's this myth. I mean, in very typical millennial and Gen Z style, there's like a lot of heat. There's a lot of smoke, but there's no fire. There's a lot of
Right.
screaming and yelling. They're like,
Right.
with the actual voting.
Right.
Look, I never thought in a million years because politically I am way more aligned with Bernie. But my feeling is Bernie is not the guy for the message.
Right.
He is an ideologue as far as I'm concerned. And he just thinks you can come in there and snap your fingers. He can't explain how he's going to pay for anything. I don't like Joe Biden politically, though we have gay marriage because of Joe Biden. It was him slipping up on television saying we're going to pass gay marriage.
Mhm.
But then we also have, oh my God, I just swallowed gum, and I've never done that before.
Oh, well, you've never swallowed gum?
No, well, not
Really?
since I'm an adult. See, all that talking about blowjobs, and now
Okay.
I got all
See?
excited.
No, you're
my gag reflex.
You were
suddenly-
marinating that throat, honey. You're getting ready to take it.
My gag. I think my child might listen to this.
Come
Let's
on
not-
down, kids. We have ramen noodles in head. I'm telling you, come see us at the Canal Street
Oh
Market.
wait, there's celebrities.
Oh my God! And then there's the people in the
Yeah,
house. Come, we
people
got
are-
guests.
Oh, we got guests.
We
Hold
got
on for a
guests.
second.
Oh my God! So no, anyway,
All right.
it's like
So what I was gonna say is that he's just not the messenger for
Right,
it. He's
right.
not the guy to do it because
Right.
he's an ideologue to me. He's somebody who's very off-putting, and he can't explain how he's going to pay for anything. I mean, he can't explain how he's going to, how anything is going to get done.
right. No, listen. Here's the thing that has always confused me with the Bernie Sanders equivalent piece to all of this.
Okay, I'm getting.
He's been in Congress for a gazillion
the
years.
Senate for a gazillion
So
years.
how
Name something he's done.
But not even that. How does he get to come in like the establishment? I'm like, motherfucker, you are the establishment.
Well, see, that's yeah.
You've been in Congress for
Right.
20-something years. What have you done? Is there free school? I just want to know, is there free college in Vermont?
No. But the point
Because
is that
I feel like
not,
it's important to have done it at home
Well, I
if
mean-
you're telling the whole country, I'm going to do this.
Well, and also the thing is that a really good way to win a nomination is not to shit all over the party that you want to be the head of.
And you're not a Democrat.
And you're not
listen,
a Democrat. And
I
I'm
haven't-
not like a It's
Right,
not like you've got to be a
listen,
Democrat. But
I'm 100% with that, but here is my other issue. What have you done? And,
Not much.
And if you get this nomination, what does that mean for all of the down ballot people, Democrats that are running for the House and Senate seats? Because they might say, all right, we need Trump out. We'll give it to him.
Right.
But we're not going to let these other people come in and take control because I don't want my health insurance changed. And if he has a full Democratic
Right,
controlled
they'll do it.
Senate, they feel like, well, just like we've watched Trump because he's had this Republican
Right.
Senate, that could be a thing. And then I look at Joe Biden. It was the night, of Super Tuesday, and he turns and says, "And this is my sister," but it was his wife, I believe.
No, he didn't do that. Stop.
Yes, he did. Go back and look.
Whatever. His wife fucking cold cocked somebody on stage. So Jill Biden for president, okay?
Did she cold cock somebody on stage?
Cold cock somebody.
Did
some
Wait a minute.
Some organizers from a group called the
sorry,
Lurching Vegans or the Lunching right?
Did I miss that?
Yes, you did. And she ran.
Wait, the whole room is like, yeah,
yes,
motherfucker, you did. Where were you?
They ran
Watching
on
Law and
stage.
Order.
Right. They ran on stage with these signs about protesting the dairy thing, and she and Joe Biden's deputy manager literally were like, boom shakalaka, and grabbed them and cold cup in heels.
Somebody needs to pull that up before the show is over.
No, find it and post it in heels.
But can we talk about the biggest problem that we have in the Democratic Party?
Oh, everything.
Well, we have a woman problem.
Oh.
I don't care what anybody says.
Well,
But
you have a woman problem all around the
Well,
world.
listen, but America really, it has a woman,
all right,
problem.
Okay.
Let's talk about, we're left with these two.
As the only woman in the room.
We're left with, hey,
let me clear my throat.
Don't be insulting because,
according to Wendy Williams, it doesn't count.
Wendy, look at that. There
lurching vegans, right? What were they called? The
lurching vegans. What the hell is that?
That's my new punk name.
You know what I mean?
The lurching vegans are going on tour with Soy Bomb.
Right. Can we talk? Oh, wait a minute. Come on, Jill Biden. Come on, Dr. Jill Biden.
Come on.
And she's got on a great skirt. She's got on a smart blazer.
She's got the heels. The hair is perfect.
And she's throwing motherfucking haymakers.
Right,
exactly. Get it.
Love and hip hop has nothing on her.
Honey, let's get it. The Real Housewives of Pearls. So let's talk about this woman problem, because I know when I look at these two that we have left and everybody's like, damn, we got to pick from one or two of them. I'm like, why didn't people get behind Elizabeth Warren?
Okay.
Why did Kamala Harris have such a hard time?
Right.
Amy Klobuchar. These were smart women.
I wanted a President Amy in so many ways.
I know you did. Even though, I couldn't really rock with, I wanted to like Kamala Harris.
Me too. I couldn't like her as much as I wanted to.
I was like, I'm not really feeling you.
No.
And Amy Klobuchar I felt was smart, but she was to me, just kind of blending in the background.
Well, she's from Minnesota.
But Elizabeth Warren had that shit.
Elizabeth Warren on paper, okay. People used to talk about Hillary Clinton was the ideal candidate because she was super smart and she was super accomplished. Elizabeth Warren had on paper and in person everything you want in a candidate. Super bright, but relatable. Didn't come from money, worked her way up, was a mother, was accomplished. She was a progressive icon. Remember, like 6 years ago, they wanted to make her Obama wanted to put her in charge of some committee, and everybody flipped out because she would have regulated Wall Street.
Oh,
she
yeah,
was
absolutely.
funnier than shit, Elizabeth Warren. She single-handedly took down Mike Bloomberg with a smile on her face. Here's what the problem with Elizabeth...
But it didn't elevate her. You know
because
what I mean?
You know why?
She took him down, but it did nothing for her.
You know why? Because women are held to a higher standard, because she got into trouble because she sort of fumbled about that Medicaid for all thing, or Medicare for all.
Right.
Well, guess what? Bernie Sanders still can't explain how he's going to pay for anything.
No.
And
well,
nobody
he says
seems
it's all
to
in
care.
his website, right?
Yeah, all right. How's he paying for the website? I don't want to go to a website. Fucking tell me, okay?
This is actually true, because whenever he's asked the question...
He's like, it's on the website.
It's always just kind of like this jumble around. And then the number that he says, all of the economics
doesn't add
are always
up.
like, no.
It doesn't add up.
Yeah.
It's like... I have been voting since 1980, and that's one of the things that drives me nuts when I get into it with people on social media and they start schooling me. I'm like, look, I was voting when you didn't even exist, so shut the fuck up. I know how to vote.
Right.
This country may be even more misogynist than it is racist, and we're incredibly racist.
Right.
I think that I think super smart women. I will just equate it to my own personal life, okay? I meet a guy. He thinks I'm really cool. He thinks I'm really smart. He thinks I'm really funny. And then all of a sudden, about a month and a half in, they're going, oh, wait, this is really who you're always like this? You mean you're always smart and funny?
Right.
Oh, you're so complicated.
Right.
You're so complicated. We don't like smart women. We don't like smart people, but we don't like smart women.
Well, we don't like powerful women in politics.
Right.
We love powerful women. Now, you could be a powerful woman.
No, we
if
like
you're
powerful
an actor.
women. If you're wearing...
We like you to be a powerful woman. If
in
you're,
a leotard.
Well,
if you're
in
a
leotard. Singer, we want you to be our fierce ruling diva. We want you to stand at the top of the hill with wind and
but that's not real power.
Well, we like it in that sense when we see like
because it's
that.
entertainment.
That's what people like. But if you try to, I watched the Hillary Clinton documentary, docuseries that's on Hulu right now. It's a 4-part series.
Okay.
And when I really watched it, you know, it gives you a different insight of her as a person. And
I heard she was a really nice person.
And I think I've heard that from everybody who's been around her.
She's super nice.
And when you watch this, you realize that, you know, listen, if you stay in politics, if that is your career forever, of course, you're going to have people who love you or hate you.
Right.
But if you watch through the whole series, and I remember when people didn't always hate her.
No, they always hated her.
No, some people always hated her, but not the way when she ran for president this last
but,
time. You have to watch the speech.
I don't
watch
have
it
Hulu.
to see, but you will just see there's a different side of that. And I realized, wow, women really are just held at such a different standard.
You just realized this?
But
I'm sorry.
But I'm not a woman, so you can't say that.
Yeah, but you're a smart guy.
I am, but it's different when you see it all put together in your face and see how it's like, even just the general public. Well, I don't like her hair. There's one woman at a special is telling her, you can't win because you're wearing purple. That's not presidential. You need to be wearing red, white, or blue.
This is the story. She couldn't use her. They made her start using her married name
Listen,
again.
I'm sorry. I've been spending all my time trying to, you know, fight being black and gay in this
No,
town.
I know,
so it's hard to have the nuance of all of what's happening.
All right, so
with
since
women
you have a
at the
woman
same
in the
time.
room, let me break it down for you. Okay? We are held to a different standard. A male rock star can get on stage looking all hell. If a woman shows up at a press conference with a wrinkled shirt, everybody's having a seizure. A woman can be intelligent as long as she's not smarter than the guy.
Right.
All right? We always have to be, even with the most supportive man in the world, we can't exceed them too much. We're still expected to support them. We're still, not financially, though that is always helpful, obviously, but we're always expected to be nurturing and mothering. And it's absolutely ridiculous. Elizabeth Warren not making it, I will tell you from the women I know, it's like a dagger in the heart.
Right.
Because this was like she had no baggage. The thing with Hillary is there was a lot of baggage with Hillary. Whether you agree with it or not. There was a lad. She had here comes Robert Smith.
Yeah,
Turn
but
around. He's right there.
Okay.
But there was a lot of baggage. Elizabeth Warren was everything. She represented the East Coast. She came from humble beginnings. She was all these things. And you're just like, people will not let a woman fuck up. She's not. Look at the thing with Amy Klobuchar. Supposedly she was a mean boss. Oh, gee, really? Someone might raise their voice at their employees?
The thing that's crazy about the baggage stuff is Donald Trump has so much baggage.
It doesn't matter. He's a man.
He let you see the people carrying the baggage out for him. He didn't even care. He was like, those are my bags.
Courtney,
but I don't know them.
It's completely.
I've never met them.
It's completely analogous. Listen, it's
like, I don't know them. I don't know who they are.
It's completely analogous.
Yeah,
it's completely analogous to what white people can get away with and what black people can get away with.
Honey, you don't have to tell me that.
Right,
story,
but what I'm saying is that it's complete to say Donald Trump's an asshole and it doesn't matter. Well, if Donald Trump were not a man, it would hugely matter. It would hugely matter. And also, Donald Trump isn't smart. And there is something to be said. You can feel superior when you have someone who's stupid. You can laugh at it. She was too good for the room. And I'm not saying that Bernie, but she is the person who should be taking Bernie's message.
Why did she come in third in her home state?
Because I think people started voting strategically. I think you should vote your heart in the primary and then vote strategically. And I think that people saw Biden and they went, after he won South Carolina, they went, you know what? He might be able to do this. I want to make sure we beat Trump. Everybody just wants to vote for beat Trump. And I think they saw her as a woman.
Well, here's the thing. This election has always been about that. And that's what my argument has been with all these Dems. I'm like, you guys are arguing this whole thing.
They're going to coalesce.
This is what it is. Beat Donald Trump.
They're going to coalesce.
And pay attention to these House and Senate seats. They're really important. That's where the power is.
No, but they're going to coalesce. I think it's going to coalesce.
But look at who we have to coalesce.
But, right, so, okay.
No, because here's the thing. They're both so old. They're both going to be either one if they get in. That's a one-term president. So who are we grooming for next?
So he picks Stacey Abrams. If he picks Stacey Abrams, I think Biden will pick Stacey Abrams.
I think both of them have to pick a minority or a woman.
They're going to have to pick a woman.
And I really think they have to pick a woman.
No, I think Biden, if he's smart, will go with, because Stacey Abrams
and it'd be great if
off
it'd
the
be
table.
Warren, but she seems pissed like she doesn't want to fuck with either of them.
No, I predict that she's going to support Biden.
You think it's going to be him?
Yes. I think she's
because of the Bernie bros and how they've treated her.
Because they've treated her like shit, because they've diminished her importance. And I also think she's not stupid. She's strategic. Why would she back a losing horse? She wants power.
Well, we don't know yet, right? We have another Super Tuesday this Tuesday. New York, our primary is not even until
The
what,
28th.
the 20th? Yeah,
28th.
that's what I'm saying. It hasn't even. There's still more states.
No,
at
I know,
play.
but I think, and also I think that here's the thing about Biden. And again, I don't hate Joe Biden. I think he's fundamentally a good person.
Yeah.
Okay, this country is so fucking gone right now that we almost need like 2 years of just straightening out the furniture again.
Right.
We can't do radical change yet, and the kids want radical. We have to just fucking put the EPA back together.
But you know, when
first.
you ask these kids, well, what's the change you want? A lot of they don't really answer that question
because they're idiots.
I'm like, what is it that you're actually looking for?
No, they want These kids, not all of them, but they're just like they want instant. I want free college. Okay, great. What are you going to do?
We all want free college.
I want this. I want that. But you have to lay groundwork. They want it instantly because they're a generation that pushes a button and things happen. And they don't want to compromise. They've been raised by parents who've taught them that they're special.
Too special.
And they can have anything they want because they're special. I'm so glad I raised my child with the word no in the start of every sentence. No.
I'm so glad my mother raised me with the type where if I tried some bullshit, she would just turn and have to give me the look like, so you're going to try it?
Right.
You're gonna fucking try it? My mother would call me really lovely things like, shut the fuck up, you're being an ass face. And you know what? I wasn't scarred. I got it. That was... If you keep running your fucking mouth, your mouth is going to be next to you.
We do have a problem. I mean, I see it on some. I mean,
Shout out to Mom.
I see it from so many different levels because I see it working with teenagers and working with young adults and educate. They're all perfectly nice. They have no cultural context. They have no intellectual curiosity, and it's just like it's right in front of them. So, what do you mean I have to? What do you mean? So I'm not saying all of them.
No, I'm not saying all of them.
I'm not saying all of them, but it's just very frustrating. Yes, it's very frustrating to me that it's come down to these two.
Yeah.
But a Pete Buttigieg, had he been a woman, would not have gotten nearly as far as he did. And that's with being gay.
And we were all surprised he got that far being gay.
Yeah.
And then the gays turned on him.
Because he wasn't gay enough.
The gays turned on him, and then, I
love the husband.
And then the blacks
Didn't
were
you love
just
the
like
husband?
not having
Chasten.
Yeah,
he was cute.
And when he say, finally I can get back to driving around,
I know, that was
going
cute.
to Target, I wasn't mad. He was like, 'cause this shit sucks.
This shit sucks, really. I don't want FBI protection.
I'm trying to go to Steamworks to get it in, and I can't go do my thing because my
cute.
husband's running for president.
But the thing with it just makes me very, very sad about look, Katie Hill was held to a different standard, and I think part of it is that the Democrats want to be more.
Poor Meghan McCain, she's held to a different standard.
Yeah, human. We hold her to a human standard. But even Meghan McCain, and you know I can't stand the bitch.
I know.
If there were a man on television who was overweight, ranting, nobody would even care.
They never care. Oh, no. That's Rush Limbaugh and all those guys. It's
please.
fabulous. They've got millions and millions and millions and millions of listeners and viewers.
The very fact that no man has ever walked down the street and had somebody say to them, smile. Come on, why aren't you smiling?
Right.
All right? That women don't pick up fucking guns and blow. I mean, it's a miracle that we don't kill every single man on the planet.
No, but y'all just stay. No, well, I'm not gonna let that come out my mouth because I love all the ladies. I love you all.
I mean, there's some fucked up women, and women can do damage to
because y'all are shitty to each other. And
no, that's not okay.
Oh no,
not all women are shitty to each other.
But y'all are shit. I will never forget overhearing these women when Hillary Clinton was running for president. And they were just like, I'm supposed to vote for her because she's a woman? Fuck that. And I was just kind of like...
Well, that's absolutely correct, though. Why should you don't vote for somebody because they're a woman?
But the way they said it, it was almost like... It was just in the tone, in the way it was said.
A lot of women had an issue with her because of Bill.
They did.
Because of Bill.
But the interesting thing is, I don't know about you, but I know I have had many women in my life that I have watched have cheating spouses, but they love that person and they have not left.
Okay, that's a whole nother discussion.
No, it's not because people I think looked at her and were like, you should have left.
No, but I'm saying there's so many reasons why women don't leave. Economic.
Yeah.
That's a whole. I mean, I understand what you're saying. Women can be as bad to each other, but I will say this:
But now,
women,
I'm talking about shit personally in my life, and some of those women, it was not economic. They wanted that man. Some people
right.
do not want to be single.
Okay.
They would rather stay with a motherfucker.
but
who
that has
treats them
nothing
like
to do
shit.
why we don't have a woman president.
No, but I think that is definitely part of the reason why her staying with her man, and I think some women looked at her like, you financially could leave him, and she didn't. And women turned on her for that. I really do believe that. That is my humble opinion.
Okay, but you do.
It's humble and it's mine.
I know, no. But I'm saying that you do that. I am not discounting that women can be our own worst enemies, but all people can be their own worst enemies. And I will also say that you cannot discount the brainwashing that happens to women.
You're really complicated.
I know. I'm so angry.
You're really.
I'm so angry.
You know what else is complicated? Donald Trump and Corona, because we don't know what
and
to
we're
believe.
not the beer.
The doctors
Not
start
the
speaking,
beer.
and they're like, "This is this." Mike Pence is like, "We don't have enough tests," and then the next day you have Donald Trump. It's like,
With
we
the
got,
hand,
who
like,
wants a test? We got a test
we got
for
a
everybody.
test.
He said,
You
"Wait."
get a test,
He
and you get a test,
then
and you
he
get
ended it with, "And it's a beautiful test." What the fuck does that
it's
mean?
a beautiful test, not as beautiful as the phone call from Ukraine.
Okay, that was a beautiful phone call. Why is everything beautiful?
Because he only knows 3 words.
Here's
strong, because he's used to just picking up girls. Me strong, you beautiful.
Okay. I just want to say to my Trump supporter friends, because I do
Wait,
have
you have Trump? I would never be.
I just want to say, listen,
You're a better
I have
man
no
than me.
problem with you liking who you like, but you do have to hold your person accountable. I know you guys want to scream Obama, but guess what? The Democrats didn't just always give him a free ticket, and people held him accountable. There was shit that we did not like that he did, and people were really mad. But you guys just, everything is okay, and guess what? Everything's not okay. You don't need this man not telling truths to the country when we need to know actually what are the facts of this shit. Are there enough tests for us?
I just went to the doctor yesterday. I can tell you.
You know, it's like, what the fucking fuck? Like, don't stand up here and be like, well, I have a hunch. You have a hunch.
Well, but again,
Hunch?
he's talking. He's talking. We have done.
Free Britney.
We have done. No, let's not talk about that yet.
I'm not. I just yelled my free Britney.
Oh, okay.
I will say it.
I mean, we're talking
when I want to say it,
I
and
know,
I'm going to say it all throughout this hour. Free motherfucking Britney Spears.
She's not.
Back to Corona.
She's not imprisoned.
Oh, yes, she is. You don't want to talk about this, but like, let's not go there because we're already on Corona, and my
right.
blood pressure goes up.
I know.
Free motherfucking Britney. I need stronger than yesterday Britney back. Free Britney.
Oh, that's the only song of hers I like. You know that? That really is.
All right, back to Corona.
That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
only song of hers I like.
Really? Do you like that one?
I love that song.
I would not picture you liking any of her songs.
No, that song
actually.
I love because I'm
Yeah.
a huge, that Swedish, that early phase of the
So
Max
yeah,
Martin
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, that
I
was really
loved
good,
it.
yeah,
That when it was
yeah.
really, I want it back. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm a white pop critic. Come on, we like the obvious shit.
No, I feel like you got more into being a white hip hop critic than a pop critic, though.
I went from punk rock to hip hop.
Yeah,
But I do love a pop song.
You were like the white.
I love Robbie
You were like the
Williams.
white. There'd be like the black room and all the black writers and Amy.
And Amy. Hi, I'll get the cab for you. Don't worry, I'll get the cab for you. Don't worry. No, you think I'm kidding? It would be like a clown car. I'd go outside and go, taxi! And the taxi would roll up and I'd open it up and I would, and half of the A&R department of Jive Records would run in. Oops.
Before they got a chance to
Right.
peel off.
Oops. Brooklyn. Fort Green's in Brooklyn? I thought it was in Manhattan. All right, but coronavirus, we're all going to die.
But how about this? How about this, everybody? Wash your fucking hands.
I never realized how much I don't wash my hands until I had to wash my hands all the time. I can't believe I'm not dead. Maybe that's the reason we never get sick, because no one in New York ever fucking washes their hands.
Well, one, I told a friend, I was like, listen.
Right?
people-
I mean,
I was like-
did you ever used to wash your hands like every 5
No, listen,
minutes?
everything comes in New York to die, honey. We have every kind of germ here.
I
It
feel
comes
like I'm
here and it's
getting
like,
ready to-
it's like, motherfucker, I'm out. I'm out. I won't mutate here. I'm just gonna
All
die.
right, so
in this
I went to
town.
the doctor yesterday. Seriously, I went to the doctor yesterday because I'm supposed to be going to the Europe next month, and my parents, bless their hearts, were like, so I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to a doctor, and my doctor's a straight shooter. He would tell me I'm going to go to a doctor and say, look, here are my situation. I'm not going to South Korea. I'm not going to Italy. I'm going to 2 countries that so far don't have it. So I said, Dr. blah, 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 Dr. Bombay, who is running our country, by the way. I would feel so much better if Dr. Bombay were actually running.
Or like Dr. Zizmore.
Or Dr. Octagon.
You got to be a New York Dr. Zizmore. Honey.
Yeah, anybody.
He'll save you. He'll
Dr.
save the zits on
Doolittle.
your face.
Doctor, give me a clue.
Yeah,
I got a bad
right.
case of loving you. Anyone. Doctor My Eyes.
Right.
What's up, Doc? Any
Right.
doctor but this motherfucker. Anyway, so I go to my doctor. He's very nice.
He's got a hunch, though.
Yeah, he has
got a hunch.
I got a hunch. So he said, I said, I'm going to these 2 countries. And he goes, all right, well, it's not there yet. And I went, what do you mean? He goes, look, you live in New York. You've been exposed to it. You know, here are the risk factors. You have to take basic precautions. I'm going to have to stop licking door handles, which is such a hardship because it's usually how I got my snacks. And you have to wash your hands and blah, blah, blah. Now, everybody is freaking out. Part of this is because of 24-hour news cycle, and they have to fill it with something.
Yep.
Also, we're a culture that enjoys a zombie apocalypse.
And we
so
love it.
this
And then it's somebody and it is kind of fucked up because the mainstream media is kind of waiting for somebody to die. They're like, there is 1 dead in Westchester.
well, they got it. It's like a
1
count-off.
dead.
They have graphics and theme music. As soon as there's a graphic, we know we're fucked.
And it's like when it's something deadly, it's like a slow piano music.
Right.
It's like ding ding.
You know.
The coronavirus.
You know how we
Ding,
know
ding,
it's going to be
ding.
really bad?
Yeah.
When they send Anderson Cooper to do a remote somewhere.
And he has on a tight black
T-shirt.
And
That's
he's gonna
when
be
we're dead.
And he's or if they spin My Good Judy, Miss Donna Lemonade. That I
No,
like
we're
to call
going to have
Don.
to start like
'Cause,
tick.
Don will be there in a full face mask,
Oh,
being like,
bless
"I
his
feel
heart.
like it's a situation.
No, when-
people are in this." He said, "Of course, I smell marijuana
No.
and the corona."
No,
It's
when
like-
they. But I mean, it's scary because all kidding aside, we're used to being like somebody has something, we can take something for it.
Right.
All right. I mean, the only thing I can think of that's an equivalent is the first early days of HIV. But this is a different thing because we know that anybody can
Yeah,
get
and
it.
back then, they were calling it a gay cancer.
Right,
So
no,
people who felt like, well, I'm not gay. I'm like, that has
Right.
nothing to do with me.
But that's what's scary about it because there's not a cure for it. I mean,
Right.
the chances are, though, I just found out something really depressing. So I all this time was like, oh, well, older people are the ones who are affected most. And I said to my guy, he goes, you're in that category. I go, no, I'm not. And he goes, you're over 40. That's what they consider older people. I went, but I wear really cool sneakers.
I mean,
all right, here's the one good thing that has come out of the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
I am washing my hands more.
unless you're Corona Beer, who's
Right,
like
that's
sitting in a marketing room
38%,
like, what the fuck? We
38%.
can't even put out the commercial. Like,
This is a really good time to book a flight.
Actually, do you know what the good thing that has come out of the coronavirus, if there can be anything? Who knew that Shenyang was actually based from New York and it's not China? Because for all of those
No shit.
No, for all
That
of those
cult dancing
from
thing?
all of those years that they were like ancient Chinese dance. Now the commercial is like, you can't see it in China.
Because it doesn't
Born
exist.
in New York. It was like, you
Wow.
motherfuckers have
I
been
always thought that was a cult.
I've been wanting to go see Shenyang to see the Chinese dancers, and you're like, yes. And where are they from? Mott Street. You guys are shady, Miss Shenyang, but now we can get tickets
they
for
are
really
ancient.
cheap. They are, but they made it seem like it was
All
a
right.
Chinese
Yeah, I
from
thought it was a
China
cult.
situation.
All right, so the really good thing about coronavirus is, A, if you own stock in Purell, whee!
kind of sort of, or any of those companies that makes
right.
any kind of mask
Right.
or protective gear.
And we're all going to develop really good core muscles. I discovered this because nobody wants to touch anything. So
Right.
you're going to have to stand on the subway. I am walking up steps now at my advanced years without touching anything.
I have not been
I
gotta
am
admit,
going.
I've not
I
been
haven't been
touching
able to go
shit.
to Pilates because I broke my toe. But now I am going. We're going to all have amazing core muscles, and that's pretty much the only thing I can think that's. The
I mean, I
advantage.
wore rubber gloves to the orgy the other night because I was like, I
Bodily
can't
fluids are the
touch shit
least.
with my bare
Bodily
hands.
fluids
So
are the
with
least of
glove
your
on,
problems
it was
right
like
now.
I was like, oh, here
This
it is,
may be
here
the
it is.
one disease where you
know?
want to be sexually transmitted. But I mean, I think we're all going to be fine. And
Yeah.
I want to find a middle ground between being alert and conscientious and having
Absolutely.
a fucking meltdown.
Listen, I'm not a panicker. I'm like, I always wash my hands anyway. I just do because the streets are dirty.
Yeah.
So I just, when I come into the house, if I even take the garbage out, I come in and I wash my hands.
I've never used hand sanitizer though in my life though. I thought it was I really thought it was like, oh, this is some bullshit they're having. And now I'm like, yatta-ta-ta, yatta-ta-ta.
You know who else is having a hard time this week?
My cat.
And your good friend, Mr. Spike Lee versus James Dolan in the Knicks.
Is there a GIF? Can we make a GIF for my face right
It
now?
is just like The motherfucking Knicks are the gift that keep giving of fuckery. It's like, and then
They are the coronavirus
Right.
of teams.
And then you add Spike Lee, who immediately was like, "Oh, you're gonna put out a press release on me? Press tour."
Okay. I am firmly convinced he's made some good movies, but that Spike Lee is an invention of bored white liberals. It's like a bunch of bored white liberals got together and said, we want a black filmmaker who's black, but not too black, who's funny, who kind of is Jewish in a way, but not
Well, I
too
would say
Jewish.
he counts as too black because he did all his shit was really black.
No, but
centered.
his early, I mean, I like a few of his movies. I also live in the Spike Lee Historical District.
Right.
So he kind of works my last nerve because for 36 years I would see him on the street and wave. Not that he has to know my name, but I am a 6-foot-tall white woman in Fort Greene since 1983, and you'd think you'd fucking recognize me.
Right.
And he would always just sort of stare. You know, the only time Spike ever said hello to me? At Chris's funeral, at his brother's funeral. That's the only time Spike ever said hello to me. And I'm like, oh, your brother has to die for you to recognize me?
And didn't he say your name that day?
No, he doesn't know my name.
Oh, okay,
I'm just
right.
white girl.
Oh.
But he, only the Knicks could get into a fight
With Spike Lee.
with Spike Lee.
And Spike Lee, who was immediately like, I don't like this. I'll be on ESPN at 10,
Right.
2, and 4.
I'm a political prisoner.
And 4.
Yeah. So only I will guarantee you that almost every other celebrity who goes there does what they're supposed to do.
How about this, though? Let him just go.
Do
I'm
whatever
sorry.
the fuck he wants
He's
to
been
do.
going through that door. What's the fucking problem?
But look at Spike, though. Remember back in the Pacers, with the Reggie years?
Yeah,
only
Reggie Miller.
Spike Lee could be the most hated man in New York. Only in New York could a director be the most hated man in America because of what he was doing for the pay. He always has to insert himself into the conversation.
Like Oprah.
He's the Oprah. He's the short
Honey,
Oprah.
Can we just say, let's do a special shout out for All Fall Down Oprah.
What's All Fall Down Oprah?
Oprah, who fell on her ass this week in Los Angeles.
She's been falling on her ass for 25 years.
While talking about balance. That's all I'm going to say. We're going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
How about...
But the Spike thing,
Yeah.
like I said, the Spike thing to me is just...
It's dumb.
It's dumb.
It's dumb. The whole thing's dumb. Who gives a shit? You know what else is dumb?
Does he have a movie coming out? Is that why he's
No,
doing
I don't think.
this?
Yeah, I don't think he has a movie coming out.
Yeah.
You know what else is dumb as fuck? Flavor Flav versus Public Enemy in that shitty ass letter, with everybody putting their dates from when they started.
Yeah, I
in the
thought
bag.
that was really weird.
No, that was very fuck you. That's a fuck you.
Well, the thing is, it got really misconstrued in the beginning because, okay, first off, I really love Chuck D. I think he's, an incredible person, but he's not a walk in the park.
No.
Okay? But he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And the thing with Chuck is he is what he am, all right? He's never sold out in any way. He's always been true to what he is.
Right.
So for anyone to be really surprised that he would have an issue with his hype man not showing up for this rally, what is fucked up, though, is they didn't have to do it publicly.
Right.
But then again, Flav kind of stepped in it because he made a lawsuit. Everything, I don't know. This is the problem with social media. Just sue each other and do whatever you fucking have to do.
It's kind of how I feel about the Megan Thee Stallion situation.
Right.
If you just signed with Rock Nation as your management, and there's a renegotiating to be done, they should be doing they should be
Behind the scenes.
Why are you publicly? I went to them. You shouldn't be going to them. If you sign with Rock Nation, they should be dealing with 1501 and working out whatever needs to be worked out.
But this is the problem. I mean, and it goes off of it. This is the problem. Everybody thinks that it's not validated. It's not happening unless it's played out in the public arena.
Right.
The thing with I got the letter from Chuck, not me. I
Free
got a
Britney.
letter from a government the other day. Anyway, he had been on probation, Flav.
Evidently, he missed a lot of shows.
He missed a lot of shows.
that
He
Europe-
missed tours.
the
They've
UK
had other
tour that they
people.
did.
So it's not like suddenly he was in the studio with them and they walked in and said, "That's it, you're
Right.
out." So, I mean,
Free Britney. The return of the motherfucking Dixie Chicks, Gaslighter.
yay.
Let me just tell you,
Not the song.
I love the song.
I have to listen to
I
it again.
love from the first listen.
I have
love
to
the
listen to
song.
it again. I love the
think
video.
I think the video's amazing. I think that's the way you come back strong. Do you think country radio will support them?
They
this
don't
time
need
around?
country radio.
Well, I mean,
They don't need country radio. They're not a country band
but it's
anymore.
not- well, I mean, it's still it is a country song. They're not going
What
to get pop
country?
radio.
What country?
Well, it's still a country song.
Okay, so was Little
And
Nas
that-
X. He did see that worked. I don't think they need country radio in that way. And there's a new generation. To be fair, there's a new generation of fans who have no idea what this whole thing was about.
Well, let's see if not every artist is a streaming artist, so let's see if
Yeah.
they can translate into this new format of streaming.
I like the song a lot. I like that it's sort of like a fuck you to the ex-husband and a fuck you
Yeah.
to Trump. I have a good
Don't
story
you, yeah,
about
go
the
on.
ex-husband.
You said you know that.
Yeah.
Who is her ex-husband?
Adrian Pasdar.
Now, who is that?
He's an actor. He's been around for a while. He was
Okay.
on. He's on. I can't think of anything, but he was sort of like the guy in
Right.
the '80s. I don't know him
Right.
biblically. I just know him. He was friend. He was. It's true.
Right.
He's a friend of an old friend of mine. So in the pre-married, so late '80s, I was hanging out with him. Super nice guy, like super nice. I think we went to go see Big Audio Dynamite with Eddie Mapplethorpe. He's just like a nice guy. All right, so one night I'm out. I could start every sentence in the '80s with one night I'm out. But one night I'm out. I'm in Raoul's. Remember
Oh,
Raoul's?
I love Raoul's.
I know Raoul's was great.
Steak.
I know, right? I was in Raoul's, and it's like really late at night, and I see him there, and he's with this really attractive woman, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" Blah, 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 blah. And I said, "Well, I'm going to go home now." And he goes, "How are you getting home?" I said, "Hey, I'm taking the train." And the girl says to me, and she looks oddly familiar. The girl says to me, "You can't take the train." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have any money. I'm taking the train." She goes, No, I insist. I'm going to pay for you to get a cab home. Where do you live?" And she gives me like $10, which was enough to get you back to Brooklyn back then.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at her, and all of a sudden I look, and she turns her face. It was Marla Hansen. But no, those New Yorkers in here will
She
remember.
was slashed on her face.
Yeah.
On
But her the
34th
way
Street,
the way
outside of
she
Shutters, the bar.
said the way she said you can't go home. It was so emphatic. It wasn't like you don't want to be doing that. It was almost like, whoa. Okay.
Is a woman who's had something happen to her. In the
But
street.
anyway, so they got married. Whatever. I'm sure whatever. I don't know about people's marriages, but I do.
But it's a
Traumatic.
nasty long divorce, and
Yeah.
I think he was coming for her money and her shit.
Yeah, but when
know?
you have kids, you shouldn't do that. Not
you know,
him.
listen,
Make a song about
yeah.
it. But
Oh,
the
no,
point is that
yes, you
I am
should.
rooting for
Make
them.
a motherfucking song about it and sing it.
No.
And be like, if you drag me through some shit, how about this? I'm going to drag your motherfucking ass up and down the street. I'm a Leo.
But I'm a mother.
It's not,
Anyway.
and Rice Krispie treats are crunchy.
No, I'm just
think-
saying. I just think you don't air. I'm not saying she shouldn't do it in the sense that she's not entitled or make a check off him. I just whatever. The point is,
Listen,
I'm rooting for
she
them.
writes what's happening in her real life. It's
No,
a
I
great
know.
song.
I'm rooting for them.
I think it is time for you to introduce our guest.
Speaking of mothers, all right. So I didn't. You didn't bring your press release with you.
No, I forgot it.
Okay. So Al Diaz, first off, is many things, one of which is a long old time. We met in what, 81, 80?
Like 80, 81.
80, 81. Great artist. I'll let him explain who he is, but he was one half founding father of the legendary graffiti team Samo, who also, as a graffiti artist on his own, was Bomb One. I didn't know half of the shit about you. I would have been a lot nicer to you had I known.
She might have slept with you, like in the good
No,
way.
he was married. His ex-wife is a really good friend of mine, too.
She still would have slept with you in the good way.
I'm wearing
It was
some
the
of her
80s.
earrings, too. I know, it was the 80s. And Al, also, for those of you who watch us on streaming,
Who watch us on the streaming.
or watch us on the streaming, Al did the beautiful new logo for our
Which
show.
we love. Thank you.
And one of the
Mr.
reasons I love
Diaz.
Al Diaz, other than all the reasons I love Al Diaz, is I asked him, "Would you do this for us?" And he said, "Sure."
And he's here.
And he's here. So yay, Al!
Yay.
Yay!
Oh, nice applause. Really
Thank you.
good.
It's canned.
I totally can. Yeah.
So we brought you here first off because we want to expose another person to the coronavirus.
Who's to say I haven't already been exposed?
Good point. You
I mean, we
do
live in
live
New
near
York,
Sunset
right.
We
Park.
take the subway regularly.
Amy.
There's a lot of different people there.
Go to a lot of public places.
We do
with
go to. That's what
a
I'm
lot
saying.
of other people. So yeah.
So we're talking about Courtney and I were talking about because we're both old. You and I are the same
Excuse
age,
me.
right?
No, I am well seasoned.
You and Al and I are old.
I've been on the planet for a few years.
We've been on the planet for the same amount of few years. So we were just talking about this whole idea of people are very nostalgic always for something that they didn't have to go through.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
And because it's like, oh, that Revolutionary War, that looked like fun.
Like when Donald Trump gets up there and he says,
Right.
why don't we turn to the good old days of like Gone with the Wind? I'm like, the movie about slavery?
Yeah, right. The movie where they burned down an entire city.
It's like, oh, okay.
Oh, fiddle-dee-dee. I don't think that's a good idea. Well, that's because Birth of a Nation wasn't available on Netflix. So let's go for that. Let's go for that one.
It's so hard.
Either Birth of the Nations, the new one or the old one or the original one. So we were just talking about the 80s, and I went, I know someone who's really old and coherent from that time.
And alive.
And alive.
Like only a few squeaked through, man.
Yeah, we did. We squeaked through. So we just wanted to, sort of talk to you because, I've always found, I did a story on Al a couple of years ago for Al Jazeera. I'm not a Muslim.
Al Jazeera America.
Shout
Al Jazeera America.
Shout out to our Muslim listeners.
No, listen, I was afraid I was going to get like, oh God, a check from Al Jazeera. I'm going to have the FBI showing up at my house.
Oh.
And I found out a lot of really interesting things about you. And I wanted to talk to you about, first off, your background as a graffiti artist, because that's something now. Graffiti is used to sell everything now. And I just wanted to talk to you about
But it almost
what
feels
you
like
think.
a lost art in this city.
So, okay, first of all, I'm from like the earlier, I guess the first generation, later in the first generation, but the first generation of graffiti artists. And we started writing, and the first guy started in 69, 70.
Yeah.
I started around 71.
Right.
So it wasn't the 80s yet. 71 wasn't quite 80. So.
They're very good. You can do math.
And what we very young culture. It was a culture that was basically 9 to 14-year-old young males. And from
Where'd you
all
grow
over
up?
I grew up in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, which was not really the epicenter of the graffiti culture. I was exposed to graffiti culture because I had a close cousin who was from Washington Heights, which is really where New York graffiti culture pretty much started.
That's where the bench, right? The writer's bench.
Well, Writer's Corner, 188 Audubon, and 188th Street.
Okay.
Back then, it was more of a mixed neighborhood. There was a lot of Greeks, Cubans, Puerto Ricans, poor white, Irish.
Right.
So it was more of a melting pot, a really nice mix, really nice mix, and the Lower East Side was more Latino and black, and it was a little more. A little less working class. It was more of the slum,
Right.
So it took a few years before kids over there started writing and doing more kind of creative stuff besides gangbanging,
Right.
Was it Walls and Subway that you did?
It was, but primarily back then it was Walls, and then it found its way, like within a year or two into the Subway.
Right.
Like by 1970, 71. There was plenty of graffiti visible in the subway system.
And then you kind of retired, right? Like
retired
from graffiti. You were
at what point?
Like in the 70s, right? When you
like by 76.
Yeah.
By 76, what had happened is it became kind of pedestrian to a young kid. It's like everybody and all these kids were starting to write now, and when I started, it was kind of a secret organization. So it was just like everybody, it's kind of played out.
Right.
And by then I met Jean-Michel Basquiat around that time, and we started doing something a little different with with writing on walls, but from a different perspective or with a different twist to it.
Why don't you explain? Explain what that was.
We created the Same Old Graffiti, which was a way for us to voice our opinions and on social issues and political. And remember, these are two very young kids,
and very high, and very
17,
high.
19.
So you thought you were smarter than shit.
Yeah, of course we did. But it was a lot of things. Among other, one of the main things it was a kind of an experiment in hype.
Right.
So when did you realize that it started to have, it was kind of making noise on the scene?
Within a year, we came up with the idea in a high school newspaper in early 78, January of 78. By December of 78, we had an article, an interview published in the Village Voice. So that's when, it was quite apparent that this experiment in hype was successful.
And you guys I think the thing I remember is that you would put the Samos up on walls you did a lot of them in Soho.
Well, it was site specific, right? It was like geared to a certain demographic, and I guess we were also becoming very early like advertising executives, because we'd know that if we like write something about punk clothing, or commercialized punk clothing on trash and vaudeville, that it might get the right audience,
Right.
know.
So
and or commentary on the art world in Soho, could just go.
and you were
West
anonymous.
Broadway.
Nobody knew who you were.
Right. We remained anonymous until this Village Voice article.
Okay.
And then we had a big falling out after that, and arguing over
You and Jean.
Yeah, because Jean was very deliberate and very he wanted attention.
He wanted the fame.
He wanted the fame. He was a part of his agenda, and I thought it was kind of a cool thing that it was anonymous. And we kind of butted heads on that point. But eventually, I decided to go ahead and do the interview with this writer from The Voice. And but after that, it was kind of over. For me, it was like, okay, we've accomplished what we set out to do.
You did it. We
we
revealed
did it.
ourselves. and
Right.
On
that's
to the
it.
next thing. I got into like, playing percussion into the New York music scene kind of thing. And
Yeah,
he went
Al
on
was
to
in a
becoming,
lot of good bands. Like
He
you were in Conk.
Right, Kong, Liquid. I played with Elliot Sharp for a while.
Rammelsy. He's on the Rammelsy
yeah, the
record.
Bebop
Oh,
record.
okay,
That was
wow.
it. But and that was a couple of years later when me and Jean starting doing stuff again. Once he had reached a certain level of success, etc., and was able to do this stuff. And we were, because there was a while where we weren't really talking to each other.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the things, and then we'll kind of branch it out more into the 80s in general, I think it's this weird thing because I'm not claiming it's my culture, but it was my era. I was, I was
Absolutely.
functioning
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
that
yeah,
point.
yeah, you were-
And there's a romanticizing of it. And a lot of it is because, look, we were 20, 21, 22. Everything is fun when you're 20. But there was also some of it was not great. And I think with Jean especially, there's been, especially in the last 10 years, a marketing of him.
Making everything glamorous, and it
It's
wasn't all glamorous.
No. Yeah, it's always. I like to say that it's like one big dinner at Mr. Chow's. Whenever you see like people, the life of Jean-Michel Basquiat. It's so
Right.
all fabulousness, and everybody's dressed to the nines and barefoot and throwing paint everywhere.
Right.
But it just wasn't like that
At all.
Especially when you were dope sick, looking.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there were a lot of
there's
casualties
yeah,
along the
plenty
way.
of casualties. I strongly believe that we were a particularly resilient generation because it was not an easy time. There was they glamorize it, but there was quite a few of us didn't have real jobs. Nobody had any real money except unless
Yeah,
you were,
I mean, what were we? What
know?
could we have done? You guys all worked. When I met you guys, you all
working
worked at Canal
construction
Canal Jeans.
Well, that's when we were really younger.
Oh,
but
shout out to
everyone
old
Everybody.
worked.
Jeans.
Everyone worked.
It's like
at
a
Canal
rite of
Jeans.
passage. It was a rite of passage. You had to,
And the
if
girls
you didn't
worked
know how
at
to
the
f-
baby doll.
And I
If
used
you
to
didn't
have
know how to
all of
fold-
my Canal Street jeans buttons on my
Yeah.
denim, my
Right.
denim jacket.
How
if you didn't
cool
know how
was
to
that
fold
place?
T-shirts
Yeah.
and overalls, you hadn't really.
You couldn't get a job.
couldn't-
You
Where I
couldn't
went
get
to-
a job.
It's where I went to get my Levi's always. 'Cause
Right,
I've been wearing
right.
Levi's, and I would go to 99X to get my Doc Martens.
Oh, yeah,
And you got your Levi's at Dave's Army Navy.
Well, I sure did. And
Dave's.
and
Yeah.
you know where
Dave's,
else?
And your leather jacket.
And you know where else? I used to go to Drea Di Matteo's Filth Mart in the East Village, and I would get lots of old Levi's
Yeah,
and
yeah.
T-shirts.
But
and
this
shit,
is- I
which was
remember-
an
There's
amazing
does
store.
anybody remember Hudson's on 3rd Avenue next to
Yeah.
the Holstro? That was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
major Holstro.
How about Unique Clothing Warehouse?
Oh
Of
my
course,
God,
yeah.
you need
That was
West
that was
8th.
Canal
That was
Jeans'
That was 8th
brother.
Street,
No, it was
wasn't
on
it?
Broadway. Oh, you know where I used to? Yes, you're right. And I used to go to
And Postermat.
iBus Uniform Company.
Oh yeah, I bust.
Do you want to hear something that's scary for New Yorkers?
Mm-hmm.
I read somewhere there's not one shoe store left on 8th Street.
Really?
No, if you go up and down, it's all
Chains.
It's all geared toward because NYU bought up
Vaping.
everything,
Everything.
right? They threw out the 8th Street Playhouse where I used to. I
love so many
I saw the
movies there.
Rocky Horror Picture
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
50
yeah, yeah.
something times there.
Electric Ladies, like the only thing that's
the
left
only
on
thing
the
that's there.
street.
But remember when they changed the front of that?
Yeah.
It is a different front. But you go up and down now, and it's like Red Mango.
Yeah.
Everything is geared toward NYU students.
There used to be all
and
these great
that's
shoe
it.
and leather
No
stores.
BBQs,
Chipotle
all that.
or
Right,
whatever.
Capizio
The early days.
Capizio was always there.
on McDougal Street.
Right.
Like we used to go on dates when we were young to BBQs and thought you were going to dinner. You know what
We'd
I mean?
Right,
come
right,
into
right, right.
we'd
Someplace
come
where you order food, they go in the kitchen and come out with the food
I know.
already.
Well, our idea, when we were all living in the Lower East Side, our idea of eating out was going to Leshko's after the 99
Oh
cent
my God,
special
right.
ended. And then the Indian places where it was 2 for $10.
yeah.
Yeah.
Two people. So, I mean, so you and I, like I said, I think we met through the late Michael Roman, who's
We
also
did.
a brilliant
Yeah, it was
artist that I have
definitely
to
through Michael Roman when
Mike-
you guys lived on 4th Street,
When we
across
lived-
from Key Food.
Yes, of
Right,
course,
right, right,
which
right.
wasn't a Key Food yet.
I think it was.
Was it- was
yeah,
it a
I think
Key
it was
Food?
just an old, like it was always
nasty-
a kind of it was always a
Around the
supermarket.
corner from Miguel's place.
But
when he,
uh,
One
when he
night-
lived on St. Mark's.
But-
No, when he lived on Avenue
when
A.
he lived on
I
Avenue
lived
A.
on 4th and A. So we met then, and I think what it was back then is that I think the reason it's romanticized is that there was easy access. You could identify with a crew in a way, but there was fluidity. I worked at an after-hours punk club, and you heard hip hop there, you heard avant jazz there, you heard, everybody played there, everybody hung out, because it was just like it was like the island of misfit toys everywhere, and there was
Yeah.
no game plan. You
Well,
know what I mean?
you could. That was back when creative people were drawn to New York. You
Yes.
could come here, you could squat someplace.
Yeah.
If you didn't have a bunch of money, you could find an apartment in different areas that weren't the hot neighborhood. Now it's like
There
it's
were
hard-
no hot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
creative people. There's no place for them to come here.
I mean, how
every neighborhood has become a neighborhood, and you just can't afford
How
to do
much
it.
was your rent on First and First?
I think
They
it
had a
got
great
up to
apartment.
$300,
Right.
but
right.
it was like
Wait,
300. That was
Fred,
it.
how much was your rent when you moved? Because he lived on C between 11th and 12th for a lot of years.
How much was your rent?
$425 when he moved.
For
in.
how much? A one-bedroom or studio?
A studio.
Okay.
Where
And
was
then when
it?
you moved into the one
See?
bedroom on 5, how much was that? 7 something.
Oh, okay. So when I moved to 4th and A, first I moved back to New York, and I lived on, my grandmother, bless her heart, I was living on Clinton and Henry in the Lower East Side.
Mhm.
And my grandmother said, we worked our whole lives to get out of
get
that,
out of there.
that neighborhood.
Right,
Why are
right,
you back? I didn't have an apartment with a shower until I moved to Brooklyn.
Really?
Right.
We had bathtubs.
right.
Tubs
And
in
you
the
would
kitchen.
tubs
Right,
in the kitchen.
right.
You'd put a piece of wood over my house. I
Right.
lived in the tenement museum.
Yeah.
You know the tenement
Yeah, I do
museum.
know. I do know that. Yes, I do know
Yes.
the
Tub in,
tenement museum.
the
Yeah.
tub in the kitchen thing makes perfect sense because there was only one plumbing line. So
Right.
you concentrate all the water into one
Looky
area.
here, he's
you know?
smart.
Mhm.
So I want to. Why do you think there's such this romantic? I mean, New York there was a lot of fun stuff.
Because
Let's
it's
even-
not there anymore. That's why.
But
it's
it
romantic.
was amazing because it was edgy. It felt dangerous. But New York was
was-
always
was dangerous.
But the thing is, I'm in like all of you. We're all New Yorkers. I loved it. I like that sense a little bit because New York is. Listen, this whole world is still dangerous. You can clean it up. You could try to make it pretty. You could put a fucking glass tower right up there. Motherfuckers are still getting slashed in their face randomly on the street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still dangerous. But at least you felt like there was an energy, a rhythm to this city that just does not exist
No,
anymore.
it doesn't, for sure. I mean, there's definitely, and that's happening in many cities.
Absolutely.
I mean, look, like again, there were some things I did back in the '80s.
No, I think back now and I was like, what the fuck was you
Well,
thinking?
yeah, no.
You know?
What the fuck was I thinking,
Right.
or was I drinking? What the
Right.
fuck was I
Right.
drinking that I would do? I mean, we took a lot of risks. We took a lot of bodily risks. We took a
Yeah.
lot of physical risks
But
with
that's
ourselves.
also youth, right? Because I think
Yes.
the youth right now still do that same thing. You're older, you're wiser, and you get through it, and you feel like if you've gotten through the other side of that, you're like,
Yeah, the
I'm
difference
so
today is
glad I made it.
today they can go on their phone and call an Uber and it'll pick them up instead of
Right.
having to
Right,
crawl
right, right,
crawl home on your hands and knees.
I mean, that's a
Or
big,
take your heels off so you can walk down the
That's
street.
another
I still see them with their heels off, standing outside, looking like hell.
I know.
Well, that's another big factor is like the technology, the lack thereof in
Yeah.
our time. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Thank
Oh, my God.
Thank God. Otherwise,
Thank
yeah.
God. Thank God there are no pictures.
Oh.
Thank
Oh, I
God
have some
there's no
pictures.
Yeah, right,
recording.
right,
I have some
Thank
pictures.
God there was some nights it's like, ooh, that was a great
I
night.
mean, it
but
took-
I don't need to have to
It
look
took a
back on it.
It took a week to get pictures of
Bad.
an event,
Right.
and it was
I
like
actually-
one person who always had a camera.
Right,
Right,
this is
exactly.
You know.
I have a picture of a Thanksgiving. It's actually sad because two of the people in the picture are dead, and one
Yeah,
I'm
of
assuming
course.
must be dead.
Right.
But I never would have gotten a mortgage if they had seen this picture.
I mean, I'm just saying.
It's
or
cool,
custody,
though.
or child
It's so
custody.
cool because in some cases you get the photographs like 40 years later,
And you're
like,
like,
oh,
oh,
shit,
look at
that's
me,
great.
I was
That's so-
cute.
yeah, it's
Can
so
I ask
cool.
you about like the whole, because you sort of decided a couple of years ago to reclaim Samo.
Well, you know what it was, because I was just sick of reading these like accounts that were half the story, and it's like
And nobody spoke to
history
you.
being
Yeah.
retold while the players are still alive. That shit doesn't. I
Yeah.
can't. I have zero tolerance for that.
hate
It's
Yeah.
like
it.
no. I'm here. If you're gonna tell a story, you need to do some fact checking. And the guy who was actually involved in the story is sitting in the corner, so you can just go over to the corner and ask that person.
Right.
Instead, but the way information is disseminated now is nobody checks anything. It's just
No.
but it's a one big game of telephone, and I needed to correct it because otherwise it would eat my soul.
Well, it's
Like,
your
this
your
is-
legacy.
it is. It's like
know?
you can't just tell that story without telling the whole story because
Again,
I'm not gonna. I just
the
couldn't.
glamorization
So really,
of
that's what it was
everything,
motivated by. That it was totally motivated by that.
And it's
And
also, you were never claiming that you had anything to do with Jean's painting career.
No,
What
no,
you
no,
were
it has
saying is-
nothing to do-
No, you
Yeah,
were
I didn't- I
saying
didn't-
I was like,
There
there's
was-
a
this was-
first
yeah,
step.
that-
I was part of that
because
first
you
step.
hear because I would hear like it became annoying after a while. Like you would hear people say, "Oh yeah, Jean-Michel Samo." It's like that wasn't his nickname, all right? So let's clear that up.
Right.
It wasn't anybody's nickname. It was a product that didn't exist that we sold to you, and is still obviously being sold around because it has become a brand.
Right.
But we developed it together.
Right.
And you don't get to
know?
cut me out of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like
No,
you don't get to just
especially
cut me
no.
out of it,
I
you
mean,
know?
I was cut out enough for a long time
Right.
because I was somewhere else, like strung out and stuff like that. But when that was over, it was time to reclaim that.
Right.
As you should.
Yeah. So that's
What's it like? Do you feel like you have to walk this line between reclaiming the past and not getting like sucked up into the vortex of the past?
at some point, I did actually go out and start writing it again, so
Yeah.
that with new ones
Yeah.
to illustrate what exactly it was, because people were like had no clue other than it was a nickname. It had become a nickname associated with Basquiat. So I had to redefine it and show people using the same template,
Right.
the same format, but in the adult version.
Right,
So-
and Al does those great. I think you've seen them. He cuts up the wet paint signs. You want to talk about that a little bit? The wet paint.
Yeah,
stuff?
still, it's everything I do is about a message or a commentary, and what I've done as an adult, I started using the subway icons and the wet paint signs,
Yeah.
and using all the letters, the characters to form an alphabet, so that I can sort of this kind of constrained alphabet that I do all kinds of messages with.
So, what's your favorite kind of '80s? He's younger than us, so his vision is much
Well, I'm
clearer.
in my 50s.
Oh yeah, that's
All right,
true.
that's-
You're at
that's
risk for
close enough.
corona. You're at
That's
risk
close.
for corona.
That's close enough.
Yeah.
All right. So
Jesus.
what kind of stuff, like when you think about the '80s, just some like go. Give me some stuff that you think about. Give me some stuff that you think about.
I think about like the downtown, the club scene, the music, the art scene. But it's still in a more homegrown kind of like level where it wasn't, it was open to everyone. It wasn't this kind of exclusive kind of club thing. So and this mix of different music
totally.
and different. So it's a lot of coming together of different, just people from all over the city, and more openness, more.
Same for me. Like mine
Yeah.
will always be the Paradise Garage. of
Yeah,
the
there you
80s.
go.
Which is a
Because
place I
it was
regret
my,
that
it was
so
my,
much.
It was my first nightclub, and it changed.
cool.
It literally changed my life.
I bet.
It changed my life. My approach toward music, the love of music. It all
Were
developed
you
there.
a teenager when you?
I
went
was a
there?
teenager. Yeah.
Like Larry.
Did you have to
Levan
sneak in?
Probably.
Listen, that back then,
They
fake
didn't check ID.
and fake ID was so easy.
Yeah,
no one
yeah.
gave a shit.
Nobody
this was before,
gave a
like,
shit.
you could be 12 in the bar, stand up and be like, "I'd like an Alabama
Right.
Slammer, please,"
Right.
and they'd be
Right.
like, "Yes, would you like ice?"
No, for years, when I worked at A7, I am convinced. I know for a fact I was serving. I used to have to tell the Beastie Boys, who were not yet the Beastie police was like, listen,
They were like
if you're
kids.
not reaching the
Yeah.
bar, I can't serve
They
you.
were little kids.
They were little
yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
No, Paradise Garage. What else? I mean, because I was jealous. I never went. Not jealous. I wish I'd done that.
The Paradise Garage, and see, it's hard for me because I'm not a nostalgic person,
Right.
and I don't think back. I don't really look back.
Right.
I would have to say the 80s for me was just important because I really grew up in the 80s. I graduated from high school in the 80s.
Okay, yeah.
And being a New Yorker, and I think really coming out of the closet during that time, I learned how to be tough.
Right.
Just from shit that happened in this city, and it really formed the basis of the man who I would later become.
Right.
Because you had to be tough. Like, you know, that was back still, like, you know, going down Christopher Street, we'd be getting called a faggot when we'd be going to hang out on the pier, and the cars
and the
were driving
piers were
by.
like, and the trucks, right?
And it was just a really different time. So I developed different survival skills because I grew up in New York in the 70s and 80s, you know, and then the 80s being old enough to really be out on my own and get out in it and go to college and just learn how to just fuck up and then fix it and be better and grow.
Right.
You know?
Well, that's what I was trying to say when I said we were particularly a resilient generation. Because the level of tolerance was not nearly what you have in today's New York City.
No,
it just wasn't. I mean, you know.
I mean, I also think. I mean, we were also a generation, at least. You know, things started happening and it stopped. I remember the first time I heard about someone becoming HIV positive and you know, did I sleep with him? Did I do something with him? Did I this? And it was suddenly it was starting to get dark. It was starting to get a little dark. It wasn't in the beginning, but I just remember the thing that it was almost like I didn't even realize I was in the room with people who were making such a difference in a way. And I guess you could say that then, and I'm not saying this to be like, you know, it was like Al was my friend. I didn't really kind of know, in a way. Oh, I'm watching this band. Oh, I didn't know that they were going to be X, Y, and Z. It was just, everything was there. It was easy access to stuff for good and bad. But, I mean, it was more of a playground, but it was dangerous. I mean, it was dangerous.
I loved that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was, but it wasn't. You never were really. You were afraid.
I wasn't scared.
No, I wasn't scared. I mean, I got held up. You know,
I got held up. I wasn't scared.
You know, but
I was mad, and when the police came, I was like, he took my Walkman, and you know what was in it? And I was like, my Madonna, the Immaculate Collection. It had just come out, and I was like, I don't care about the Walkman. I want my Madonna. The cop kept laughing. He was like, the only thing you care about is your Madonna. I was like, yes. Look, here's the case, and now it's empty.
I just remember I moved to
Such a queen,
I moved to,
young queen, still in it, all the way in it. Madonna.
I moved to Brooklyn. I just remember the beginnings of the Pyramid Club and what how amazing to think about the people. I remember seeing 3 Teens Kill 4 and the first Wigstock and the fact that things were
my best friend Fred is in the studio. We would go to Wigstock every year in Tompkins Square Park.
Well,
and
Brian
find our
Butterick,
lives.
you know, bless his heart. Brian was a really good friend of mine. Brian, who was Hattie Hathaway. So all those people who started, it was just a much more sense. You could just roll in anything. Everything was cheap. You get a slice of pizza. I want to think that people in their own ways are enjoying. Like I have a son who's 31, so
if you're
he's
young, New York
enjoying
is amazing still.
But
it
you,
is.
You don't have to spend as much. We didn't have to spend as much money. That's what it was.
Not nearly. No. You could,
No, but all of the possibilities are still here. And if you still come here and you grew up in Kansas or Wyoming or whatever, it's still New York City. It's still open all night. There are all these little parties and stuff that they do. They have a whole circuit for these young kids that they do and still have a good time.
Let me just, real quick, how are we doing?
Well, one more thing. I want to ask you, Al, where can our listeners see your work now?
Or hear it,
I'm actually rebuilding my website right now, but it's still al-diaz.com. And my Instagram is Albert_Diaz1.
And you don't have Twitter.
I don't twit. We don't tweet.
You are a twit. All right. So the running joke between me and Al, there's been many running jokes. Is at I was convinced that he had my Bohannon album for years, and I'd go. No, it was I stole it from you. It turns out. I thought you stole it from me because and I'd go over to
Hamilton Bohannon.
Right, he and Jane's apartment, and I'd say, "Where's my Bohannon record? Where's my Bohannon record? You have my fucking Bohannon record. I hate you." And then it turns out I had his Bohannon record. I had his Bohannon record. All right, so we want to talk about what Megan. You know what? Here's the thing. I said, I have gotten to a point now where she says so much stupid shit that it almost doesn't even really matter anymore. So what I wanted to talk very briefly about something I saw today that disturbed me like nobody's business.
Okay.
You know, I am really bothered when white people act like idiots.
Okay.
Okay. So I saw a man walking down the street today in a parka, or not a parka, a puffy coat, and a scarf, and a hat, and pants. I'm doing hand gestures like people can see me. And he was wearing sandals.
And ladies and gentlemen,
with or
we
without
are going
socks?
to end the motherfucking show on that.
White
'Cause
people do better.
And it don't get much more New York than that motherfucking
And
shit.
he wasn't going to a yoga class or getting a pedicure.
I wanna
White-
thank-
And I thought of you, Courtney, I swear to God, I thought of you, and I went, Courtney will not tolerate this.
We're done. I want to thank you all for listening. I want to thank our very special guest, Al Diaz. I want to thank...
Hey, tweet us if you want some songs on the 80s playlist.
Yeah. We're like, thank you for Canal Street Radio, and thank you for Listening Party Presents. Check them out. Follow both Canal Street Radio and Listening Party Presents on Instagram. Follow
Wash
us.
your hands.
Follow
Wash
us
your
on
hands.
Instagram. Follow Al on Instagram. We're on Twitter at Finish Ima. We're on Facebook. Follow our Facebook page.
Remember, when you're
I'ma let you finish, all one word.
When you're washing your hands, 20 seconds to sing Happy Birthday or Stevie Wonder's Happy Birthday. It'll take even longer.
And just remember, like us, retweet us, follow us,
Please.
leave a rating. We love you guys. It's been amazing.
Just don't breathe on us.
Like Oprah said, all fall down.
all fall down. All fall down.
It's NFL draft season, and that means it's time to start thinking about fantasy football. FantasyPoints.com features industry-leading experts and prognosticators using proprietary hand-charted data to help you score more fantasy points. FantasyPoints.com is the place to go for whatever kind of fantasy football you play. Whether you play fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, or do a little bit of everything, Fantasy Points has the meticulously researched content to guide you to victory. And why wait for the fall? Fantasy Points also covers the new spring football league, the UFL. Join the guru, John Hansen, Scott Barrett, Joe Dolan, and other massive names in the fantasy football universe with an exclusive offer. Use code Pantheon for 15% off any Fantasy Points package, including the all-in package, with access to every article, tool, and data nugget that Fantasy Points has to offer. That's FantasyPoints.com and code Pantheon for 15% off at Fantasy Points. FantasyPoints.com, code Pantheon. Score more fantasy points.